Okay, so welcome to the kitchen. I'm gonna try and do my best to make eye contact with the camera. The camera's here, my screen's here. So for today's presentation, we're going to do meal prepping. And I thought, what better way to show you how to meal prep than to actually meal prep? And I don't have dinner made. And it's what, 6 o'clock? And I've kicked my entire family out of the kitchen. And so I'm going to actually make dinner and show you how you can throw dinner together when you're not prepared. And then I'm going to sneak away for a really short presentation. Then I'm going to come back here and I'm going to show you how to put together an assembly line type of situation. And I literally pulled all this stuff out of my pantry and refrigerator today without a plan. I did not shop for this event. I literally have had this stuff in my pantry and in my freezer. And this is just how I'm programmed to always have this stuff ready to go. And this is what I want you guys to always have on hand. Okay. So for tonight's dinner, what I'm going to do is one of the things that I always do when I'm desperate for throwing something together, I'm just going to throw a pork loin in the oven. So Costco has these. They're super easy and convenient and inexpensive. So you get a double pack of these for like $9. And inside here are 2 loins. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slice this open. I'm going to show you how super easy this is. I'm going to rip these out and put them right in here. And I know you can't see everything, but you will in a second. Okay, so I have my 2 pork loins in here. Now, this is going to be my protein. I'm just going to season it a little bit. My usual go-to seasoning is a non-sodium filled spicy chili lime, Costco. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put this in the oven and make sure I watch the time, okay? Now, I know that sounds like, wow, how is she really gonna get dinner situated on just that? But I have my other things on tap here, which I'm gonna show you during this presentation what I'm talking about. Okay, so what I'm gonna, one of the most taxing parts of weight loss is how do you get dinner on the table? And how do you get yourself situated when you are busy, when you have a family, when even if you don't have a family, when you are working and when you're trying to get stuff prepared for you to eat healthy. The problem in our society is that there are all these quick fixes that are actually holding us back. And what we have to remember is simplicity is the key. So I'm going to pop open really quick a little presentation that I put together. So what we're going to talk about today is the keys. Be prepared. Always be prepared. And it has nothing to do with dinner. As you can see, I don't have dinner prepared. I don't have the chicken made. You saw me put raw meat in the oven. So being prepared is key. And I'm not talking about the dinner. I'm talking about the shopping. Having backups for backups. Always having a plan. If you're going to make one, make 6. And this is something that people don't think about. Having your 911 meals, which are your emergency meals. And usually the 911 meals that people typically think of are fast foods or ordering pizza. And that's not what I'm talking about. My kitchen and my pantry is equipped with 911 meals. And then finally, no excuses. So your mind and you should be set up with no excuses. The default button should not be ordering out. It should not be going out, because that right there is going to cause you to derail. Even if you are trying your hardest and doing your best, the choices that you're going to make are not going to be as good as if you did them yourself. Okay. All right. So meal prep mindset. All right. The biggest problem is we have become a lazy society. We have all of these quick fixes at our fingertips, and they taunt us. And when we're hungry and we see these signs, we want to cave to the temptations. Some interesting statistics: 6% of Americans eat out every day. The average American eats an average of 4.2 commercially prepped meals a week. That's a lot. 4 of their meals are commercially prepped. As a nation, we eat out between 4 and 5 times a week on average. And this equates to 18 meals a month. So if you calculate this, this has a huge contributing factor to our obesity rates. According to a survey, 56% of people say that they dine at a restaurant regularly and have a meal delivered 2 to 3 times a week. And 10% say that they eat out 4 to 5 times a week. That's astronomical. And I can tell you that if I were to order pizza right now, it would not get here before that dinner would be complete. And that is the truth. Typically, when you order pizza, it does not arrive any sooner than you can make a meal. So what does this tell us? It tells us that this is why we have high blood pressure, heart diseases, high cholesterol, fatty liver, sleep apnea. The list goes on. So it's not 1902, and I say this in my book because I laugh. You know, we don't have to go out and grow our own vegetables. We don't have to catch our own protein. My grandmother, and I exact quote out of my book, she literally made her own bread every day for her 5 children and family. I mean, she cooked like a meal every day. We don't have to do that. We have this. I mean, honestly, we have this. Imagine what our grandmothers would have said to have a device like this that can cook something in minutes. But yet we still complain that we can't cook. And it boils down to not being prepared. So I'm going to teach you how to get in front of the problem. And I don't expect you to absorb this all in one sitting, and I don't expect you to absorb this instantly. It does take time, but the keys are right here. Stocking your shelves, making sure that you always have frozen goods, canned goods, backups for backups. And I'm going to take you through my kitchen here and show you my stuff. The next thing is assembly line prep. I hate prepping. I do not like doing it on Sunday. I don't like sitting down and having a prep day, because then I loathe it and then I don't want to do it the next week. So I prefer to just do a little bit at a time. And the way I like to do it is, if I'm going to make one, I'm going to make 6, because the hardest part of prepping is all of the spoons and all of the measuring cups and all of the mixing bowls and all it. That's the hardest part. Taking out all of the ingredients, screwing on all the lids, putting everything back away. That's the hardest part. So if you're going to do 1, do 6 or do 10, and I'll show you how. And then if you're making a dinner, make 2, double it up. And I'm gonna show you today, because I'm gonna actually make, what do I have planned? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I'm gonna make 7 dinners tonight, 8 if you count mine. And I did not go grocery shopping today. I literally just had this stuff in my pantry. Always have your 911 meals, and those are the meals that you will always have on hand, even on the worst day, even when you have nothing made, nothing defrosted, you have that 911 meal. And that goes back to having a backup for backup. So whatever your 911 meal is, let's just say it's corn and beans and tortillas and salsa and chicken. When the can of corn and beans and salsa and tortillas, when those are gone, then you better get a backup for that, because you don't ever want those to be empty on your shelf. That is your emergency dinner. And that comes in handy all the time. And then of course, prep your protein. That's huge. More than likely, if you don't have your protein prepped, you're either eating an omelet or you're not having protein, because even with an Instapot, it does take time for that to heat up and cook up your protein. Okay, so no excuses. This is what we are going to cook, what we're going to make. I'm going to make 3 batches of chicken tortilla soup, 3 of them. I'm going to make 2 batches of black bean chili. I'm going to make 2 trays of chicken enchiladas. And then I'm going to make 6 batches of muffins. What time is it? 6:15. And dinner tonight. All right. And so before I do that, I want to show you some of the stuff that I pulled out of my freezer and I pulled out of my pantry. Okay. So bringing you with me here. Okay. So what I have here is I don't know what you guys can see here. All right. So in my freezer, I always grab sweet potatoes, diced sweet potatoes. This is Aldi. They're less than $1. I always mixed vegetables. You never know what you're going to do with these, right? I actually bought these not knowing what I was going to do with them. Always have corn. Never know what you're going to do with corn. Asparagus is a must. And if you guys want to really laugh, if you can see in here, I have about 12 bags of frozen broccoli, green beans. Just load up on these, because you never know when you're going to need vegetables. And I never really use the vegetables straight. I use them when I put together my soups and my stews. Okay. So another thing you want to have on hand always, corn tortillas. I have no idea how long these have been in my pantry, but if you don't open them and they're corn, they will last a long time. My backup are frozen ones. These will thaw out on the counter or even in the microwave. And I have lots of them. So my backup to backups. And these are all like super inexpensive items. Another thing you should always have, salsa. And I just literally just grab when I'm out shopping. And this has been in my pantry, I don't know how long. When I go shopping, I always make sure I have an extra one in my pantry, the backup for the backup. That's the reason I had this here. In fact, here's another one. So basically I never run out. And I have this for times of when I need to throw dinner together. And again, I haven't needed them because they're my backups, but because I'm using them tonight, I'm gonna have to go shopping and fulfill my backup drawer, okay? And usually they're generic brands or you know, I do look at the sodium levels and stuff. So, okay, another one. This is my seasoning of choice, minced garlic. I don't have time or desire to mince up garlic when I am in a rush. So this beauty does the trick, and you're gonna see how I'm gonna use it, okay? Carrots. The shelf life of carrots is close to infinity. Honestly, I don't know how long these carrots have been in my refrigerator. I have another refrigerator in my pantry there, and I literally will always make sure that I have carrots, and I do use them. And when I use the carrots for stews or soups, I will instantly go grab another bag of carrots to have in there because I always need to have carrots on hand. If I see that they're starting to go bad, I just throw them in the freezer, and they freeze well. And then I take them out. And when I'm making my stews and my soups, I just throw them in there. Okay. So this is pretty much my entourage. I have some onions and I have some tomato paste. Okay. So this is just my getup. And then of course, we can't forget the beans. Don't judge me. So this is my pinto beans. Um, you know, I was at the store and I'm like, well, I can get one little bag for $1, or I can get the big 10-pound bag for $14. And I use these all the time. I make my own refried beans. These are pinto beans. I always have these on hand for when I need them. And this way, there's no excuses. So I have a bin of pintos. Um, I have, of course, a bin of lentils, and I have a bin of black beans, which is actually almost empty. And believe it or not, I got these last March when the first COVID lockdown happened. And so this just goes to show you, I have not had to buy beans for basically a year. One and done. Okay. All right. So ready to cook? All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn my camera here and flip me around of soup. So because I'm going to make multiples of them, I'm gonna make them to freeze. Now I realize that you need to have freezer space to do this, but you're gonna see that when I make these, they're gonna be pretty flat and you could lay them down. Now, if you have an extra freezer and you wanna put them in bigger Tupperwares, and set them in your freezer, you could do that. But more than likely, the Ziplocs are gonna work great. So this is what I do. I take my plastic bins and I set them in here so that they don't spill. Okay. And I am going to 1, 2, 3. Okay. So I'm going to grab my beans. And what I like about this is I don't have things to rip open. I just go right in here. I pull out my 2 cups. Super easy then to calculate in FitnessPal. If I wanted to, I can make these 3 batches taste different by putting different spices in them or even different beans. So there's that. Now I'm going to take my garlic powder and super easy. Now this next part you guys are gonna love. You might have seen me do this before, but for my vegetables, I actually don't even cut them. I'm putting in a whole pepper because when you cook in the Instapot, you don't realize that the Instapot is going to disintegrate the vegetables. So I'm just taking the tops off. I have the peppers in there, just like that. That I'm going to freeze now. And when it is time to cook these, all I have to do is put this in the Instapot with a little bit of water, and I am set. I have 3 meals that I just made. Super easy. You could do this with any one of the recipes that you have, pretty much. You don't have to put the liquid in here. You don't have to put the water in there. That's going to make it heavier or boggle it down. But these peppers are going to disintegrate. And if they don't, for some reason, you could take your cooking shears after and just chop, chop, chop while they're in there. Okay. I'm going to lay these little chipotle peppers. I want to say this was like 40 cents. There is virtually no sodium in this, which is amazing. And it's pretty potent. You would not want to use one of these in a whole meal. So what it is it's a really thick kind of mole sauce, and there's big peppers in here. So what I usually do is I'll split this into 2 batches. And you can see the peppers. There's not much in there, but they're pretty strong, okay? Onions. So my husband does not like onions, and the rest of us do. So this is what I do with the onions. I cut it in half, take the peel off, and throw it in whole. When you cook it, it will fall apart. And then you could just slice it up into tiny pieces with your scissors. Now I have 2 more meals. Boom, boom. And this will be like a chili. So good. So good. Super easy. Good. Now, as you're cooking them, of course, the day of, as you're cooking them, if you want to add some more spices, if you want to add, some more cilantro or some more, the other spices, you can do that because as it's cooking, during those moments, you can add. But as far as getting it in the freezer, you will see me post this down the road. You will see me. Oh my God, I'm so glad. I have 5 dinners now sitting there, ready to roll. Okay. All right. So I baked enchilada. And enchiladas are super easy, but they're a little tedious. So this is what I did today. All right. So in preparation for tonight's presentation, I have put in a bunch of chicken. And now I'm going to take pinto beans. Always have these on hand. I'm going to take, this is a 2-pound bag. I'm dumping in half of it. And now what I'm going to do, and yes, they are completely raw. I'm going to fill this up halfway with water, turn it on for 45 minutes, and then I will bring you guys upstairs for the big cooking extravaganza. After 45 minutes, have cooked chicken, and the pinto beans. And it is really, really, really cooked. I'm basically going to make my enchiladas. So because I'm gonna make one, I'm gonna make 2. All right, so I have my peaches. I also have my corn tortillas that I've had in my freezer forever. this case, they're both getting put in the freezer. One would get baked. And this is all cooked. So I wouldn't even really need to do anything with this except for warm it up. You could add peppers to it. You could add all different kinds of things to it if you wanted, but this is my basic enchilada and people love this. Super, super, super easy. You could make it with beef, you could make it with pork, you can add all kinds of other things to it. So, and then of course your healthy fat, throw some avocado or olives on it and you're golden. The muffins, same concept. You pop open all of your bags, right? I'm gonna pop open multiple bags. I'm gonna put 2 scoops of protein. If I had the bananas in here, I mix it like this. I don't even get a mixing bowl out. I mix it like this. Then when I have the batter, I cut a hole in the corner about this big and I squeegee it out right into my muffin tins. And so the day that I'm making my muffins, I'm not getting anything dirty. I take this, I throw out the empty plastic bag, and I'm good to go. So when you make one batch of muffins, I mean, honestly, I normally, when I do this, I would make a dozen of these. Go buy a bundle of bananas, go through a whole thing of protein powder and a whole thing of this and have them. And actually, you know, if you don't want to add the blueberries, you can put raisins in one time, put chocolate chips in another time. You know, you could add the add-ons in as you go, but this is literally the best idea ever. You could do this with your pro nuts. You could do this with your bagels. You could do it with anything. So now I have these ready to go. So I'm exhausted.